And we are live, 2.5 podcast. I'm your boy Midgie with a special guest. But first, let me get my co-host in here. Who do we have?
Those
Your
stacks in the
girl,
building.
and it's your girl Rose, special Rose,
Special
special
Rose.
Rose.
And we are
Okay,
here with a very special guest, director of our favorite movie as of right now, the
let's
special,
go.
Mr. Harrison Smith. How are you, sir?
Thank you.
There-
I do have a complaint right away, though, to start off, and that is, according to Donald Trump, you make people like me get to the back of the line for the vaccine, and I'm really upset about that. Because I said before to somebody, I said, I don't know, it was a whole bunch of us crackers way ahead of everyone when I was standing there. Maybe Donald's got something going on. I don't know what he's seeing.
Yeah,
But
man.
thanks for pushing me and all the white people to the back of the line. Thank you.
What we have, it's one of the movies that has commanded its own segment of our podcast.
Yes.
Like that's the only thing we reviewed. Usually we do a movie, maybe a series, we do
Hot topics.
different things, but
This
the
shit
special-
required some of our attention.
it required all of our attention. It required a full review, a summary, and everything. And everybody I've been talking to, I just been telling everybody about it because
This one of them PTSD movies, yo. Like the shit randomly pops in your head after watching it. Like you walk past a random box and it's like,
You might get turned on looking at a birdhouse sometimes.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
Harrison, I don't know if you saw, but last week my boy went to go do something, dough stacks, and when he came back, I heard him say, you ain't got a box in the bathroom or something with his roommate because he had like some candles lit up and shit.
Hey, and we're here with a second special guest, Mr. Paul Cotman, detective in the movie. How are you, sir?
thank both of y'all for coming on, man. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask y'all a question?
What was
When y'all
that?
first read the script,
Right. We got questions.
which part was the what the fuck moment?
Wow. Well, I'll let Paul answer if he wants to answer first because he came into a room full of guys and we're asking him to act in a movie about a guy who bangs a box. So I think Paul could probably answer that first.
Oh, turn it.
Hold on,
Paul,
Paul.
bring your volume up.
Oh, let me see what I gotta do. Here we go. Hang on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Y'all
No.
like it?
No? All right, let me turn my mic on. Hang on, let me see. Cam, mic, audio. Hang on, let's see here.
No.
Not at all.
Well, Harrison, could you give us your answer until he gets right?
Sure. Paul, you figure out the technical glitch. I'll run defense. So
We hear you a little bit now.
Have him restart. Refresh.
okay. Well, I got the script from Mark Steensland. He was the author. He wrote the original script, and then he teamed up with a guy named James Newman, and they turned it into like a novella, kind of a short book.
Mhm.
And they came to me just after I finished Zombie Killers with Billy Zane. And I read the script, and I'm a monster movie nut. I love monsters. And I'm not all into I watch them, but they're not my favorite in the way of like the Saw movies. There's
Right.
enough cruelty to people out there that I don't need to sit and watch 90 minutes of people being killed in all kinds of fucked up ways. I don't need
Right.
that. So it's fine if people love it, that's great. But for me, I watch them. I've seen them all, but it's monster movies are it for me. So anyway, I read this script and I came back to him and I said, listen, I love this. I think it needs to be padded out a little bit more.
Right.
And that's what we did. That's what they did. The fun moment for me was probably when he walked in the room, when the character walked in the room and saw the box for the very first time. And I thought, okay, where's this going?
Right.
There's no woman in the room. There's not even a guy in the room.
Right.
I don't know what's in the room. So
Do you have that said box with you?
I do.
Bruh, I told my people I will pass the fuck out. Trina, he got the box on the screen, Trina.
I got the box on
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you just made my night, Harrison. Stick it here. Stick it here, damn it.
No, thank you.
We're not making that kind of podcast. So.
Right. No.
This isn't an OnlyFans. I'll start.
No, definitely not.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you might get a lot of views with that one.
I'm about to say, there's a target audience for everybody
There's
now.
a target audience.
Target man.
So let's see. Better.
Dang,
We still
Paul.
can't hear you, Paul.
Yeah. It's real faint.
It's real faint.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, let me keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get it right. So you got the script. You saw some guys. You talked to them. You said, "Let's go back and do a full feature."
Yeah. Well, they had a full feature. I just thought that they should kind of expand some things. So they did. They were great, and they're both gifted writers, and most of all, they were really, really easy to work with. It was the special is the first script that I shot that wasn't mine.
Oh,
So-
really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had this whole, like, they're both guys from the creature feature kind of background. So they, it was funny when I went to the investors, they're like, "So what's this about?" And I'm like, "Well, it's about a guy in the box."
That's a selling point.
Yeah.
That-
I mean, what do I say? It's a love story. I don't know. It's
That's what the fuck it turned into.
yeah.
When he started giving it baths and
caressing it and putting up lights.
set candles and all that shit.
Yeah, it's funny. The editor and the producer and the guy who plays Ivan, the big Russian guy,
Right.
he said when he was editing it, that scene where Davy leans down and kisses it, and when it's dying, and he said he said, "I'm sitting in this studio all by myself watching this," and he said there's something just so messed up, and that's Doug. We'll talk about Doug and Matt in a little bit because they're great, and they're my partners as well too. And but I mean, like when I came to them, they're like, "All right, what's this movie about?" I said, "Well, it's about a guy who fucks a box." Like I don't know what else to say.
It's like the gore version of my dick in the box.
Yeah. Right.
What tripped me out was when he said just the tip at first. Like,
oh yeah,
ain't that the classic move that dudes used to say? Like, just let me put the head in. Let me put the tip in. Okay.
Wait, can you talk now? Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
No.
It's a little better,
but it's better. It's a little better.
We can take it.
Oh, he's got headphones plugged in. That's why.
It's your headphones.
No.
By the way, for everybody that's watching, Paul was the officer in the movie, and I was wanting to ask, could there be a?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
I don't want to give it away.
We're gonna get to that. We're going to get to that.
Oh, I didn't like the way you were staring in that box at the end while it was going on.
Staring in that box kind of hard.
We gonna get to that. We gonna get to that.
And the first thing we said when we first started watching the movie was like, that wouldn't be us.
You can't get a brother. You can't get a brother put in there.
Yeah, a brother wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Nah. We nosy, but we ain't that nosy.
We're wrong.
So Paul, when you received the script, what was your first thoughts?
All right, can you hear me a little bit now?
Yes, we hear you. Yeah.
Right,
We're gonna roll with that.
But I was gonna say that's funny you said a brother wouldn't do that. Yeah, gave him some plausible deniability. Should have put him in.
It's great now. That's great now.
Whatever you
okay.
stay
I was gonna say they could have put me in like an Ed Hardy T-shirt or something. Would have gave me some plausible deniability. But my first thought when I read the script was, I think Doe Stacks, you had mentioned Dick in the Box, that script from SNL.
Yeah,
that was my very first thought. after like page 3, like because I already saw I think some of the concept art, and I was already thinking about that skit. And the second thing was Tales from the Crypt. I was just thinking Tales from the Crypt, very anthology series-esque. And I think that was kind of the feel it was going for. And I think
it did put me in the mind of that.
Yeah.
And then maybe at the same time was that Roddy Ricch song, The Box. Or whatever.
My stick in the box.
I'm telling you, I wanted to make that joke every day on set, but I didn't know if anybody would get it because we get it. On set, and I didn't want to make no jokes.
You had to hold that one.
We got it.
How long did it take for y'all to film this?
Man, you did a great job. You did a great job with your role, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Most definitely. So how long did it take to film this movie?
We shot it in 18 days.
18 days.
18 days. It wasn't easy to do. The effects were a lot, especially at the end, as you've noted. You know, there are a lot of makeup effects. Davey was in that chair about 4.5 hours each day.
Damn.
Oh,
to
God.
Get all that makeup on him and the transformation stuff, and then
that got gory.
Yeah, it gets gory. And that was all puppetry at the end when Yvonne is pulling the head off and everything like that. That was a puppet. And you had 4 people on the floor all operating. Yeah.
What did they use for the slime? What was that? Is that corn syrup? I always wonder.
I don't know. The special effects artist, Soda Effects, did it.
Soda Effects?
Yeah, Kat Sowell was the main effects artist. They brought it all in tubs. So I don't know what that stuff was. I know that some of it was they called black slime. There was black slime in there, but that's what they coated it with.
Okay.
It was legit looking. And the little sperm ball that he had fell in love with, whoever did that, tell him I give them 2 thumbs up. Because
the monster, the sperm ball was Mark Casabucky, who's known as Monster Mark online. An incredible graphic artist, but also terrific puppeteer and special effects artist that works in like creature kind of stuff.
He made that believable, yo.
Yes, he did. The way it pulsed was Mark was blowing through a tube down below the bed, and it was it was just cool. He's just like breathing in and out, and this thing's going wobble.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Doug, I see Doug made a comment. He said it was ultra slime, the same stuff they used for ectoplasm.
Oh
wow!
Yeah. Hey, I was gonna say at the same time I wasn't on set the day that they actually were shooting that. So the same way y'all saw it for the first time once the movie was done, I saw it too. The first time I saw the premiere, so I was waiting to see what was gonna happen too. I had no idea. So
we had a couple walk out of the premiere.
They couldn't take it.
Yeah, they got turned on.
Lady, she let her husband out, and as she was walking by, I heard her go, "I have had enough of this." And
so let's get a little background. Let's start with you, Paul. How did you get into acting? Where did this all start? Where did you get this bug for acting?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was younger, of course, it can't be when I was older. A long time ago, I started doing plays. So when I was in school, even in elementary school, I guess you can't really count those, suppose. But in middle school, I started doing some plays, and it just really took. I was, I did some sports, but I wasn't like a jock or who you would characterize as a jock. And I was very, very shy, like painfully shy. Very, very introverted. I still am introverted, but and I guess the plays and the musicals and things were a way for me to be out and have fun and just express myself in a way that I felt safe. Yeah, exactly. So I started doing that. So then throughout high school, I continued doing that. I joined the International Thespian Society, which is mostly a high school thing across the country. And once I went to college, I actually decided to go to New York. I had some full rides to other places. Actually, in lieu of those full rides, I took a lesser scholarship to go to New York because I only applied to one school in New York, which might have been foolish at the time. And I went there so that I could have the New York acting experience because it was, and this was, dang, it feels like back in the day. It feels like so long ago. Like back then you had for auditions, it was still at the tail end of where you had to go to the Samuel French store, like the bookstore. You'd have to open those up and they'd have these cyclical auditions that you post in the back and you'd have to read those and audition. I wanted that experience.
Right.
Once I got there, I went there to try to get on Broadway, and I did some off-Broadway shows. That was cool. But a friend of mine, the first film thing that I did, I remember this, a friend of mine who lived in the same building as me, guy named Robert, he was a film major at St. John's. Imagine that, right? And we did this silent film called The Thief, which is a whole nother thing. But and then in the film, I was just running around, jumping over dumpsters, pretending to rob stores, which was very, very dangerous because we didn't have anything. And I was in Jamaica, Queens, so they thought I was really trying to rob the stores, and actually got a gun pulled on me. But that's all. That's all. But I did this, and I was like, wow, this is a little different. Like doing it for film is a little bit different. Like the reverse angle, and then getting this coverage and doing it in multiple takes is a different process. After that, that really gave me the film bug.
Okay.
Now, where are you originally from, Paul?
Well, I live in Maryland right now. My family's military, so we were from all over the place. I was born in Germany.
Oh, okay.
So, I thought I was German for the first 4 years of my life. So, all around being German. But yeah, we've lived all over. Mostly on the Eastern Seaboard, but yeah, all over the place. So,
I just want to say shout out to your cousin Tasha T in the comments, Natasha Terrell. She's an avid fan of our show, and then when I suggested this movie 2 weeks ago, she sent me the screenshot. Like, that's my cousin. I'm like, you lying? I'm like, can we get contact with him? And then when you got on, you contacted us up with Harrison, so I'm just thankful. You never know who knows somebody. You understand?
Right, absolutely. Right. It's like 2 degrees of separation. Yeah, shout out Tasha.
That part. Shout out Tasha.
When she tagged me, I was like, how was this random? Like, did she recommended it to you, or how did that happen? Like, or you just happened to watch the movie? Like, did she recommend it to you?
Go ahead, Rose. Tell your display of how you find these movies.
All right, so we all have different genres that we strong with, and mine is more of the psychological. I'm gonna just fuck you up for a couple of days. And the last couple of picks that I had, it was miniseries, a docuseries, and my boy Dostacks up there was complaining about these 7 to 8 episode series you got me watching is too much in my life. That's so you want a movie? Too much. Huh? You want a fucking movie? I'm gonna give you a fucking movie. Okay, so I went deliberately looking for something that was going to fuck their minds up, and somebody suggested it in one of the Netflix groups that I'm in. And when I saw the trailer, I said, bingo, bitch, drop the mic. They watched it.
We got one.
So the trailer did what it needed to do. I appreciate y'all fellas, and I love this fucking movie. Okay, I'm mad.
Hey, shout out Harrison. Shout out Mark Skeesley.
Okay, let's go, Harrison and Mark. Have y'all seen Border?
Have y'all either one of herself because she gave us Border last year?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it.
And
we don't usually say the name of this movie, but for y'all we'll say it. But
they don't.
Wow. Border.
So Harrison, y'all took Border's championship. Go ahead.
How did your start begin? Where did you get this directing and love for films, and specifically horror films and gore films? So how did this start for you?
Well, if you go back to my first film, The Fields, that kind of tells the story. That's a true story. What happened to me on my grandparents' farm in the summer of 1973. Our farmhouse came under attack, and they killed our dogs and all this stuff. They came out of the corn after us. And my grandmother was like this foul-mouthed, smoking broad, is what she was. And Cloris Leachman, when you see her in that movie, man, that is my grandmother. Because my grandmother would tell me, you go in that corn, we'll never find you. And when we do find you, you'll be fucking dead and black. Okay. Crows will have fucking pecked your eyes out. That's what she would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was real subtle, but I grew up watching horror movies with her, and I watched all the old time horror films: Frankenstein, Dracula, The Wolfman, Creature Feature afternoons. Like by the time I was 8 years old, I knew all the horror names. I knew Bela Lugosi, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. I knew them all. So then, when I was 8, my mother took me to see Jaws. And Jaws is the movie that made me want to make movies.
Wow.
8 years old, and I sat in the theater, and at the end, I can't remember a lot of the experience of the theater. I have a book coming out actually that talks about going to see horror movies in a theater, which I'll tell you my Philly story because it's in my book. But you're gonna like this story. But I sat in Jaws, and it was the first movie where people stood up at the end and applauded.
Right.
And that made an impression on me. That was the first time I ever saw a movie where people stood and cheered and applauded. And I thought, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. So from there, I went on. I wrote short stories as a kid. You know, I had a great high school career. I had a lot of fun. But I wrote a lot. I was known as the horror kid in high school. I knew all the horror movies. I one time, you know, skipped out of school, past the security guard to drive all the way up to the video store to rent Creepshow to bring back to watch in study hall. And there's our teacher sitting in the back, and he's just, you know, he's just grading. You know, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
There's Adrienne Barbeau getting her head ripped out and all this, and it didn't matter. So I got a film camera. My uncle got me a silent film camera when I was in 8th, 9th grade. I made a full-length video movie in 8th grade. This reading teacher really, we had a TV studio in our school in the basement. So I made a movie there. I made these short films with my brother running around in a dress, and I'd bring them to school, and they would laugh. And then I ended up with a cable TV show, like local cable, and that's where it all started. And since that time, I've been lucky to meet a lot of great people. And before, you know, we turn it back over to Paul or whatever you'd like to do, I'd like to say that the special could not have been done without Doug Henderson and Matt Neese.
Shout out Doug Henderson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neese. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible
guys.
Yeah. The 2 degrees of separation. Someone told me, I live in Pennsylvania, and someone told me, oh, you got to see these guys. Everybody comes to you when you're a filmmaker, and they go, you got to know, I know someone who makes movies. You're like, all right. Because a lot of times they don't. But you always turn this. I know I sound like a dick, but believe me, it's like somebody coming up to you going, oh, I have a podcast too, right? And you're like,
right.
Yeah. So anyway, I looked up their stuff, and I was blown away by what I saw, what these guys are doing. They're in York, Pennsylvania. They have a company called Everything's Fire. And I couldn't believe the quality of work. I can't understand why York is not lighting candles and having vigils for them for what they could do to bring film to that area. And it's like they seem to be ignored all the time. And I don't know why, because they're great people. You know, Paul can tell you that. And
are they from York? Are they from York?
They're from York.
That's why people would never give you props when you're from there.
You know what? I think they deserve more than props.
You got to get out of there.
I said right out, I got to get these guys. You know, they're really good, and they did it with the special. This is all what it's about. You know, you have a DP like Matt, who's behind the camera, and the very first scene is Davey taking his clothes off and mounting this box. And we call Matt the Terminator because he's so like, it's just, he's there to shoot. And you'll look at him and be like, what do you think? Oh, it looks good. Like, you know, like he's not like, there is a naked guy over a box.
Humping a wooden box.
Yeah.
Falling in love.
He's about to work. He's working. You know what I mean? He's about to work. He's locked in.
And
these were intense scenes. These were intense scenes. These were
I died when he was hitting it from the back or the front, whichever side the box was.
You don't even know.
You know,
now technically, it was a head ripped off. So could it be head? You know what? Let's just continue.
That's an ongoing debate, I guess.
so Paul, take us through the auditioning process for you. What do you do mentally, and especially for this? When you read the script, you was like, I gotta go and audition for this movie
because we heard you killed it.
Yeah, we heard you killed it. So you walk in, and how does that go?
So for me, it was interesting because reading it, my particular character, out of all the craziness going on, my character, I was trying to find a place of realism for this character, because I realized that he wasn't shooting it to be like a parody. It wasn't like it wasn't trying to be super campy. It wasn't trying to be funny, outside of just what was an actual joke in the movie. But I was like, how do you play this character? And it's funny because Rose, I think you had made a comment about Denzel on the last podcast. And there wasn't a purposeful thing specifically for Denzel, but there was a little bit of sort of like, okay, this is a detective. I see that there's a device going on here. Like I see that there's an impetus behind why they have this character in here to give some type of chase to what's the direction that the main character Jerry is moving. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, how can I add a little bit of something to this character without distracting and still meld into the plot? And I think that's what hopefully that's what I brought to it. And then also, I think I sent. I can't remember what happened first, whether or not it was my audition or my reel that I had sent to you first. Hopefully that's what I brought to it, and hopefully that brought some type of interest to the character. I saw another review for the film that basically said that he thought that exact thing did occur. So he said that he thought that I was able to bring some type of roundness to the character, if you will.
Yeah,
and leave it open. Hopefully.
What was that?
I was going to say, hopefully the character came across as having enough duality to the point where you saw that he was, a professional, but at the end, there's a possibility that he actually might fall to that.
He was human, and then
exactly, he was
human side showed
temptation.
Exactly, it wasn't
that curiosity.
Yeah, it was Captain America. So
when Big Boy hit you with the offer, I didn't think you was gonna make it to the room. But once I saw you in the room, I was like, wrong.
They zoom out and his pants are already down.
To the role instead of just being some gumshoe detective.
Right.
What I really like is the scene when he's standing with Yvonne. Yvonne's in the doorway, and he says, he says something along the line of, "Well, what does this place smell like?"
Right? Yeah,
that part.
Yeah, it's the way that Paul delivers it so straight that it's like you know this guy's been around the block. He's more than
He's seen this before.
He ain't
been
green.
Around the blocks.
And he's been
not green.
And if you notice at the end, there's another scene where he meets up again and he does that almost that Columbo kind of thing where he's like, "Oh, I see books on the occult. I see all of this." But then he says, "You know what? Something bothers me about this. It's like, getting a piece of something stuck in your tooth."
Yeah.
Something's missing.
Right.
Now, notice what he does at the very end, which I loved. And I'm standing there at the monitor. And when he did it, I'm just like, oh, it's so good. He stands there and he looks at the girls. And it's when Yvonne says, "Let me give you something else, something better.
Right.
I'll do this special." And you can tell he's considering, right? Like he's
something clicked in his brain.
But he turns around, and when he looks back at Yvonne, he goes to look back at the girls, and you notice what he does? He takes his finger and he goes like that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He did.
Just that little touch right there.
Was that improv?
No, was that in the script, or did you do that on your own, Paul?
I don't think that was in the script. One of the things about Harrison is that no, I don't think so. One of the things about Harrison is that he gives you free reign. Like he trusts the people that he hires, in short, and he pretty much gives you a lot of free reign. And I mean, directors have different ways of working. I mean, I've worked with a lot of directors, and there's vastly different ways of working. Someone literally have do a line reading for every other line, and have specific actions. Aside from blocking, like turn left here, tilt here. Unless it's a technical shot,
markers
it's not
on the floor and all types.
Yeah, exactly, and that's fine. And Harrison is really on the far end of the spectrum with directors that I work with that. It's kind of like, I trust your instincts unless you're doing something that just does not meld well with what we're doing here. Then
Those are some of the best people to work with, man. Those are some of the best people to work with.
I believe that, look, you hire an actor for what they're going to bring. So if you're Alfred Hitchcock, which is fine, I'm not disparaging Alfred Hitchcock, but Hitchcock was very what Paul just said. You will turn to the left. You will turn here on this mark. You will do this. You will deliver the line this way. That's fine. As a matter of fact, Hitchcock used to describe actors as cattle. They are just moving around the shoots.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
That's it. So for me, it's like I hired Paul for what can he bring to it. Now, if he starts going off the rails and like he said, If he starts turning it into a satire, no, that's not the way we're going with this. And I'll rein him back in. I'll bring him back in. But I never had to do that. He came in. He brought this subtle kind of, almost like a little bit of a menace to the role.
He was.
Like,
he was.
He's not just a good guy cop.
Because he always popped up at the wrong times, like, this motherfucker.
Right, yeah.
And then, he just did that again. He's just like, like he's thinking, and his finger went to his tooth because something stuck. It's bothering him too. But he does it.
I think what it was, I think we had just got off lunch break. That's what it was, I think.
it came in perfect.
Working with actors like Paul and so many that will do that. In Death House, Courtney Palm totally went in a different direction and ended up French kissing Kane Hodder in this scene. And I'm behind the monitor and I'm just like, whoa. And when it was over, I'm applauding. She thought I was pissed. And she came to me like, I am so sorry. I'll do it the way you. I said, no, keep that. That was brilliant.
The name of that movie is Death House?
Death House. Yeah.
So give us a quick preview of some of your previous work that you directed before. And the previous two, have you wrote those yourself?
Well, here's what I did. I produced and I wrote The Fields with Cloris Leachman and Tara Reid, and that's on NBC Peacock. It was on Netflix for almost 3 years. It did very well, and that's a true story. That happened to me. And then I wrote and produced 6 Degrees of Hell with Corey Feldman that Joe Raffa directed. And
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, Corey was fun. My directing debut was Camp Dread.
Did you see Rose Face?
What?
When you mentioned Corey's name, she was like,
"No, it wasn't about Corey. It was him listing off all these horror films. Because if you can ask Harrison, I do not do the scaries. They know I don't do the scaries, which is a testament to me wanting to watch your film because it made me watch it, even though this ain't my genre. So my wife is in the comments saying that she'll watch it for me because I guess we're about to watch a lot of your movies. I don't like scaries, but I like you. Okay, so I might work it out. Yeah, I'm gonna try to work it out. But go ahead.
A lot of my horror films are fun. I think horror should be fun.
Yeah.
And Camp Dread is a lot of fun. Camp Dread is a Friday the 13th kind of slasher kind of film with a lot of fun. That's where I met Davey, who will go on to be Jerry in the special.
Okay.
And, then in addition, I did Zombie Killers with Billy Zane and Misha Barton. And Dee Wallace and Felissa Rose.
You gotta love zombies.
That was a lot of fun too.
That's me.
Then I got to do Death House, which to date is the largest collection of horror names in a single movie. There's Tony Todd, there's Sid Haig, Kane Hodder, Bill Mose. They're all in.
I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, oh, these are everybody's in here. So
okay,
like the Expendables, like the
Expendables. Right.
Yeah, they call it the Expendables of horror, but that's a problem for me because it makes people think it's going to be like Freddy versus Jason or
right.
That. Kane Hodder is not Jason. Okay, he's not. So here's the other thing, real quick. Tony Todd and I were at a convention for Death House, and he got up and told the audience that he was offered a lot of money to make Candyman versus Leprechaun. I shit you not. Like they offered.
Really?
I think they offered Tony like $5 million paycheck to do this. And he turned it down. Because Tony, I'm telling you, Tony is going to win an Oscar one day. Like Tony is like, I love working with Tony.
I'm sorry, but that shit would be in production right now. We'd be halfway through that motherfucker right now.
Hey, we'll be working on part 2 right now.
Be hitting them with Lucky Charms and shit.
Robot in the
Some guy in the audience raises his hand and says, "You turned down $5 million? Why didn't you do Candyman versus Leprechaun?" And in perfect Tony Todd fashion, he goes, "Because it's fucking stupid." That's what he said.
But listen, we see so many stupid fucking movies get made in Hollywood anyway.
All the time.
Nice. So just grab the bag real quick and keep on going, man.
Right. And then,
man.
What we did is I went from Death House. I did a comedy, an action comedy called Garlic and Gunpowder. I had Vivica Fox. I had Michael Madsen, Judy Tenuta, a bunch of people in that. Karl Rove. I had so many of them in there, and I'm very proud of Garlic. I thought that was funny. And then I turned around and then I did the special. After the special, Doug and Matt reunited with me, and then we reunited with Paul because I text Paul one day and I said, I think I got this movie coming up, and you're the only person I know that could play the teacher. You've got to be this guy. And he's the only, it's called Where the Scary Things Are.
I saw you post that, and it caught my eye when you posted. I'm like, where can I find this one?
I am extremely proud of this motion picture as well.
Yeah.
What's the name of it again?
Where the Scary Things Are. It's coming out this year from Lionsgate.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And, we're real excited about it. So, and it already has been entered. It got accepted into Horror Hound Film Festival. The people who did the special effects for the special came back to do the special effects for Where the Scary Things Are. And
I might need to be at that premiere.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm excited to premiere it. I really am. I'm very
definitely.
Paul has seen it.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed it. I think Rose would definitely love it. I think all three of you would love it.
We might need to be at that premiere.
We might need to find out when this is happening.
Here's the premise. I can tell you this. You know, in the 80s movies where all these white kids find the monster, right? All these white kids from suburbia that ride skateboards and BMX bikes, and they all live in the beautiful suburban neighborhoods, right? And they find Alien, the monster, the creature, Sloth in the Goonies, right? They all find the weird thing. And the premise was, what if the asshole kids found the monster? What if found the monster?
Twist.
That's a good turn.
Right? Yeah. It's always the nice kids that find the monster.
Right.
Well, you didn't like this. See, I used to teach, and I used to tell my students, you don't ever see these kind of public gun shootings in urban high schools.
Right.
They're in middle class white schools. That's where this is happening.
Preach, brother. Go ahead.
Right? You don't see that. Why isn't it happening in the urban schools?
Because our mama will whoop our ass.
Issues either. But what I'm saying is these mass shootings, there is a collective problem going on here. That's what the movie explores. The movie explores with the question at the end of the movie is, who are the real monsters? That's the question.
Okay. My interest is piqued, and y'all ain't even seen a trailer or nothing.
I saw him post the flyer or the bill or the poster, and I'm like, I didn't see this when I searched his name. Maybe I need to get to this. So
right. And Paul plays Mr. Lewis in the film. He's the only adult in the film that we like. He's
got you.
Okay.
And I like there to talk about that real quick.
So we definitely would love to be a part of this. Anything premiere in this movie, because this sounds interesting. Like I said, when I saw you posted the other day, I'm like, I didn't see that when I looked his name up. So what is this? So
that's exciting. I definitely can't wait for people to see that movie. I'm definitely proud of everyone's
I'm excited too.
We're most definitely going to check that out. And I got a list of your movies written down, and we're most definitely going to do some backtracking and see some of your work, man.
Yeah, man. You got to make a day of it. Make it a blockbuster.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to. You're going to have to.
Hey,
we're going to have to.
Do you guys have time to stick around for our top three?
Well, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right, run it, Mitch.
Now, so we got top three goriest, I don't know if that's a word or not, but most gory movies that we've seen in our time. It's one now. And, if you guys can definitely chime in, we usually go from 3 to 1. And that's how we pretty much do it. And it doesn't have to be a movie. It can be, because I think I threw a little series in here just for, the sake of things. But
he likes to be complicated.
Just a little bit.
And he's trying to beat me at list because, I'm the list god.
Just a little bit.
You're the list guy. Oh, man.
Well, let me get my box and then we'll be all set.
God.
There you go.
The box. Put the box up again.
You're leaning on the box.
Where the flashlight?
I'll be listening to Roddy Rich all week.
That box, that box has got more action than some people that are watching.
Hey, man. You got a point,
That's
man.
true. Hey, Valentine's Day coming up, man.
Yeah.
You can rent that thing out.
Hey, man, listen.
Just don't rent it on February 15th. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, but you only can. But you know what? Before we start, I do want to say that I think there is something in the movie that you can take from it. And what I got from it is too much of a good thing
Exactly
can be bad for you.
Yeah, even water. I mean, damn.
Yeah, because, you know what I'm saying?
You end up with a supernatural STD.
because
STD.
because Mike tried to really save him. Like, yo, I'm not gonna show you where this place is. I'm gonna let you get it one time.
He didn't.
You know,
he didn't know. He should have known how good the box was.
It
This
sounded
movie low key could have been about crack. This movie low key. Hey, okay, I know you don't get high. I know this, but I'm gonna take you somewhere tonight.
Hey,
one
we
time.
talked about it. We talked about it last
Exactly.
week. Who would you say is at fault? I think his friend ain't shit. Okay, that's like me taking somebody that I know can't handle crack, and I'm gonna deliberately take you to get one hit of crack, but I'm gonna blindfold you.
I know you.
So you can't find a crack again.
That's like Euphoria.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Show Euphoria. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was some degree.
Well, too, they're quite funny.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm reading these.
Hey, look at Ashley Hayes' comment.
Okay.
I mean, that's the obvious point, Ashley. But
keep your dick out of the box.
I love the previous one too. Somebody I love is sitting there right now in their underwear watching this. I think that.
Put the box up for them.
There it is.
Yeah, his friend definitely got him addicted. You know what I'm saying? He has a fiduciary responsibility. There's some culpability there for sure.
Now, I must say, the murders, the kills in movie, y'all did that.
Yeah.
The whole emotion behind it, and the wife waking up and him having
the decision to make: do I love this box or do I love my wife?
No,
he
do I love
take
this
no
box
time
or this box?
Right.
No, his wife ain't been shit to him. That box had his what we call it, wob. That wet ass box. The box had him fucked up. He ain't think twice. Okay. He ain't think twice to kill her. Twice.
He didn't
Just
think
before we shot that scene when he gets her in the bathroom, and Sarah was wonderful to work with. She really was. And this shows you what Paul was talking about with actors, because I had a meeting with Matt and Doug downstairs before we shot the scene. And I said to him, do you think we've gone far enough? And
really?
Death House. I'm coming off of Death House, and Death House is really ultra bloody and violent. And like there's a scene in Death House where an inmate is getting a blowjob from a severed head, and the spine is like flapping in the breeze, kind of thing.
You got me sold. You sold me.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, did we go far enough in this? Because here was my plan. My plan was he chokes her out, as you saw in the film, and I don't want to give it away for people who maybe haven't seen it, but when she's lying there on the floor, I was going to, because now she's inanimate, right? He wasn't interested in her when she could move.
Right.
Now she's inanimate, right? Like the box.
I can see where he's.
Yeah, I was going to have him completely undress her and do necrophilia. And I remember
that's where I thought it was going. That's where I thought it was going.
Yeah, that's where it was going. It was going there. You notice we kept some of that. He's touching her.
He's rubbing her.
Now he's interested in her, right?
Y'all told the line.
Wow.
Matt Neese, because Matt Neese put the leash around me and said,
no.
Right?
Yes.
He said, I think we struck just the right balance between weird and fucked up. And he said, you might just tilt it and go over a little too far.
Right.
And remember, Matt's the guy that's behind the camera. He's seeing far more than even I'm seeing.
Right.
The guy that's right there at ground zero on all of this. So that's why you always are very lucky to have a great director of photography that will share his vision. He was like, look, if you want to shoot it. So I sat down with Davey and I sat down with Sarah and I said, listen, I think I might want to do this. And they were like, okay, then we'll do it. And that's what Paul was saying about allowing actors, because I told him, here's what I want. But then we decided not to do it. We didn't shoot it.
Right.
Nothing happened. because I listen to my producer and I listen to my director of photography because it's a team effort. It's not just one person doing it. And in the end, they were correct, because you also have to think, if you push this so far over the line, you're not going to sell it.
Right.
You're not going to sell it. And then your investor is like, what are you doing with this? You know, like, are you going to get the money back on this?
You never want to be the guy that's known for doing too much.
Right. And it was pushing it over the edge. So we pulled back. And because I was worried that we didn't have enough kills or enough gore, you know, kind of thing, or weirdness. And although that's why, and that happens in the book and in the original script that Mark and James wrote, he took the bolt cutters and he bludgeoned her on the head. What we had done in this one, he just brings them down and brings her, right? He just
he went in.
Yeah.
He made sure she was going the second time. Or should I? Damn. My bad. Sorry, y'all.
So
I'm not sure if y'all hold on, Midge. I'm not sure if y'all seen the comments, but a lot of people said their minds are blown since you dropped that nugget, because mine was blown because I did not put that together. That once he thought she was dead, he starts fondling her, and I'm like, why the fuck is he wanting to touch on her now?
Yep.
Wow.
And if you notice the way I positioned her, and this was working with Matt, she's half in and half out of the light.
Half in, half out, yes.
Right? So there's this whole, there's this whole good, bad, do I do it, don't I do it kind of thing, right? He's on the edge. So, yeah.
So
he's about to have a threesome with the box. I'm sorry, Midge. I'm still.
No, I think before we continue to our top three, I think Doe had a question at the beginning. I think we all have this question.
You don't remember? Okay.
Will there be a part two?
You know,
with Paul.
if there's demand for it, if there is a demand for it, I can say the film is done critically well, and it's done commercially well. We also won Best Special Effects at Grimfest. Mick Garris himself, the horror director, presented the award. Like, Grimfest loved it. Is there a demand for a sequel? The only way I would do a sequel, I would have to talk to the original writers. But the only way I would do a sequel is fuse this story with Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, and how would you? No, I can't. I'm not even going to ask that.
Right kind of character to push this particular kind of meth.
Right.
You're right.
Wow.
Oh, right. I got you.
Because listen,
so make some money off the box.
Because when you can whip up some pussy like that, you can sell that shit.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well,
that's how you got started, you know.
Just so you know, we deleted a scene. We shot it, but we deleted it because we felt it was going off in a different direction. But you remember when Davey, you mentioned it in your review,
bottling the shit,
and he puts it in a bottle.
Oh yeah.
Well, he put it on his dick, and then his wife. Remember, he rocked her.
She did a little too much.
So at the end of the special, he says to Doug, Yvonne, it works for the guy, but it also works for the girl. Maybe we could go into this. So we shot a scene where Mike went to the window of Madame Zora's and he looked through, and Yvonne has the girls lined up like a gynecological exam, and he's inserting it into them.
So everybody's special.
Everybody's special.
Everybody's
special. Feel good movie. It's motivational, honestly. Everybody's special. Yeah.
Feel good, my ass.
Yeah. You better take that to Shark Tank.
Hey, he'll be a billionaire by next week.
Yeah.
Send it to Kevin Hart. He'll buy it.
Yeah, I
know. Special. Market this thing, right? Wow. It's a drug.
It is.
That's what it is. It's a drug. And Paul is about to become the next drug.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Who knows? Maybe I have the resolve to resist it. Stay tuned for part 2.
That's what I want to see. I just want to see if you can resist, Paul. That's all I'm looking for.
This should be a whole movie in that box, man.
Maybe Paul becomes Walter White.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, Walter Black. Yeah. Dante White.
Okay, love it.
Yeah, no, I love that idea too.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Who gonna start the list?
Yeah, man, our top three was
I would like
think
our
since we
guests
have-
to start the list.
Thank you. I'm about to say our guests are here. Y'all horror buffs. So off the dome, top three. What would be your number 3 horror movie?
For we're talking about
like
gory,
most
Gory.
gory.
most gory.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could tell you. Okay, I mean, Harrison probably got some better answers. Let me see. I'll go Cannibal Holocaust.
That's on my
saw
honorable
that one.
mention. That's
Saw
on my
that
honorable
one.
mention.
Green Inferno, I think, if I remember. You know, honestly, with Green Inferno, I can't remember whether or not there was a lot of gore or if it was just like the guts and stuff. I don't remember if there was actually a lot of gore in that movie. I can't remember. I'm having like the Mandela effect going on. And then also, I think it might have just been like a bunch of sausage links coming out and no blood. I can't remember.
Okay.
But and then also, I think either Evil Dead. These are probably both wrong. Evil Dead or The Descent. I remember there being a ton of blood once you get
In the
past like
Descent,
the 4th-minute mark.
I've seen The Descent.
In The Descent, there's just blood on everybody. I mean, pools of
Yeah.
blood. She's coming out of blood.
Yeah.
She's covered. Juno's covered in blood. And the Evil Dead, there's a couple scenes in there where towards the end where it's like raining blood. It's literally raining blood. And
the 2013 or the 1985?
I think the 2013 one is bloodier.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was bloodier. So those would be my picks, I think, just off the top of the head.
Okay. Harrison, how about you?
Definitely what Paul said. Cannibal Holocaust. That's a movie I never wish to watch again. And I watched it because that was one of those you got to see this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely High Tension. I don't know if you've seen High Tension.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all
I
that.
highly recommend it. It's really, really good. Very bloody, very gory. It would be a toss-up again. I would say Martyrs. I might go with Martyrs on that one, or definitely Green Inferno was pretty. Like those cannibal movies, like you really kind of got to deliver on those.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't make a movie called Cannibal Holocaust and make it tepid. It's gotta.
I saw it on a lot of lists that I looked up, and it was like I've never seen this movie, but everybody says
I watched it, Midge.
Wow.
Yeah.
The problem with
Midge, it like
they
borderlines whether you know if it's real or not.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of one
well,
of those.
the director got in legal trouble. You do know that with Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
The director got in trouble because he did the Blair Witch copied off of Cannibal Holocaust. They tried to pass off Cannibal Holocaust as a real movie, and the director made the movie go away from the media for like 6 months. Well, the authorities thought they went out and made a snuff movie and killed these people. They actually had to bring the actors into court to prove they were dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think my list might be a little commercial or cupcake for y'all. Y'all just hit me with
take
a whole
Pikachu
bunch of that. Yeah. So
what's your 3, Midge?
I think it might be Rose's turn.
I'll go ahead and list off my 3 because y'all know I don't watch scary. So I took Trina's 3. She said number 3, Final Destination. Number 2, Demons, something from the 80s, and number 1, Carrie.
Carrie was definitely very bloody. The Final Destination movies, I will say, I don't know how much blood is actually in the Final Destination, but first of all, it's like 8 of those movies. So maybe if you add up all the blood and all the movies, but the Final Destination movies have had an effect.
It was
I don't know about the new. They've had an effect on people to where if you're driving behind like a truck with logs on it, that's the first thing I think about.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen From Behind, the 80s horror movie From
Beyond? Yes.
From Beyond.
I was like, From Behind.
From Behind.
What you thinking about that box?
I'm thinking about that box.
Not only did I see From Beyond in theaters, Barbara Crampton, who starred in that, is in Death House. She stars in Death House.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. Definitely going to check some of those out.
Definitely seen From Behind, but I never seen. Yeah.
What's your 3, Midge?
My 3, my little cupcake list. I got Human Centipede. I got
that was my number 2, Midge, so we can go on that.
I got the Saw series because that's one of the first movies I seen where there was actual cutting off body parts.
That was my 3.
Or whatever, and then Hostel was my number 1 because
I was gonna say
it scared me from going cross country for a little while, and it's like I'm never staying in a hostel. I don't care how cheap they are because it was just
you get what you pay for.
Yeah, you're right. You get what you pay for.
Right.
I definitely did enjoy Hostel. I like, especially the first one.
Right. Sure. Especially the first one. So those were my 3. Doe, what you got?
Well, you got my 3 and 2, and I was gonna say Nightmare on Elm Street because it was one of the more commercial gore movies, but I got to give it to the special. Giving it to the special.
Oh man,
you guys got my number 1 because y'all did it. Because it's like, listen, in the grand scheme, y'all made us watch an hour and 20 some odd minutes of a dude fucking a sperm ball in a box. You got to be great at what you do to do that. This is a movie and to make us do that. Y'all great at what y'all do.
Yeah. Hey, I think you might be onto something. It'd be hard to get 3 viewers on Instagram Live, so you might be right. Having sex with a box and you stay captivated the whole time. Listen, that is something.
We're gonna make y'all our first official 2.5 Guys podcast classic.
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Yes, most definitely. But we want to thank you guys for coming on, taking the time out to tell us about the special and all the ins and outs and behind the scenes things that happens with that. Being our first guest, first and foremost, we appreciate you guys. Absolutely. We're a small podcast just starting out, trying to grow, and you guys have helped tremendously in us growing. So we want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, that's dope. I thank you for having me on. I'll let Harrison speak for himself, but I really appreciate you guys. And Harrison and I were talking briefly about you guys actually earlier today, and just saying like how much potential you guys have and how great we think the podcast is. I mean, Harrison was raving about it after I had I don't know if I had posted. I think I shared a clip on Facebook stories, and Harrison was like, "Oh man, how do I get in contact with them?" Like,
we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all sincerely, man.
Most definitely.
So go back and watch our other episodes. But before y'all go, can y'all give the people y'all social media handles so that we can follow you? Definitely want to support you guys and everything y'all do.
Any future work y'all got coming up? Looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to where the scary things are. So definitely looking forward to that. Listen, we're gonna stay in contact.
Movies, which would be the number 1 would you like for us to review? And we'll go out of our way and make sure we get it done.
I'll let Harrison answer that one. He said all of them. All of them.
I'll reach out to you privately. How's that?
There you go. I got you. So any future things coming up for you, Paul, that you want to plug in, promote?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, there's a lot of things potentially on the horizon. I have a friend of mine, Jordan Miller. He actually just sent me a script not too long ago. He's working on a feature. I have another buddy who is working on. There's always so many circulating, and the thing is, within this industry, it's never for sure going to happen, until you're on set that day shooting. And then even then, sometimes things can happen. But so I have this thing where I like to, have the balance between trying to promote things that are coming up potentially, and also trying to play it close to the chest until the eggs hatch, so to speak. So, but definitely be on the lookout for some more stuff. My social media handles, I like to post a lot of stuff once it becomes more solidified on there. It's all just at Paul Cotman for the most part. Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, just at Paul Cotman. So I like to post updates there. Also, I have an actual actor page on Facebook. Just check on there, and I post stuff as much as possible. I want people to see all of these wonderful creators' beautiful work. Harrison was talking about how they're doing with Everything's Fire, the production studio in New York. There's so many great creators, especially on the Eastern Seaboard, which is the reason that I've even been able to stay over on this side and get a whole bunch of work on the Eastern Seaboard. I work in LA sometimes, but it's such a blessing to be able to work over here. I mean, you got Derek Lewis Gray, who's put me in a ton of his productions. Jordan Miller, who I did something that's on Crypt TV now. It's got, I think, so far 250,000 views on YouTube. It's called 3. He's a great creator. Shout out Harold Jackson, who is he makes something. I feel like he makes a new movie every 3 months, and they're all, and he's out of DC. So many great creators. So I'll be posting about those. I don't want to spam them too much. But I'll be posting about those on all my social media. So if you follow me on any one of them, I post about it on all of them. And I'll let you guys know if I have something that hopefully you guys can have me on for.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you.
We definitely will, man. We definitely will. Harrison, what you got coming up?
Well, I have first my handle. I'm on Twitter. Anybody can find me there at Harrison Smith 85. So I always forget my Twitter handle.
It's okay.
my website for my company is www.class85.com. The big thing is to also, on Facebook, look up Everything's Fire. Like Paul said, we're working with them, and most of all, they're my partners, and most of all, my friends.
Gotcha.
I've got coming up right now, I'm in development on actually several pictures. Paul is already in mind. I keep telling him that. And it's just what Paul said. Excuse me.
It seems to be a great working relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and most of all, Paul just said something really important about that. And that is, like, I won't drop what I've got coming up right now because until it's 100% real, it's bullshit.
Right.
So I don't like to drop, well, I'm going to do this. And then 3 months from now, oh, I thought you were doing this. Because things happen. You can get right on set, like Paul said, man, and the money can fall out the first day you're on set, and the whole movie folds. So, but I do have several projects in development. Very excited about them, with some good names attached. That will be including Paul as well, because I keep telling Paul he's going to blow up, and I want him to come to me one day.
Right.
I love this.
And we had him early in the game, y'all.
Right.
Early.
And I have a book coming out this fall called This Time It's Personal. And it's all about the personal experience of going to movie theaters or watching horror with groups of people, because seeing a horror movie in the theater is very, very different than watching it on this.
It is.
This is not how movies should be watched.
Right.
You need that surround sound.
Giving a speech. I know you got to go, but I was giving a speech real quick in a school, and this one kid pulled out his iPad and he goes, I'm going to watch your movie in study hall. You're going to watch The Fields. And I said, don't do that. And he's like, oh, no, I won't get in trouble. I said, I don't care about that. I'm asking you, go home. Do you have a beanbag? Sit in the beanbag, turn down the lights, pop a snack, do whatever you want to do, and put it on a big screen and enjoy it. That's what we should do. Not watching a tablet or some phone. You're not going to get the same thing. It's not the same effect.
You're not.
So then the last thing is I'm working on 2 other books. One will be out. Another one will be out this fall, called Halloween 3. Michael Myers isn't in this one, and the reason why I'm working actually with the original director of Halloween 3, Tommy Lee Wallace, who did Stephen King's It and Fright Night 2, but he was the director of that movie, and it's one of horror's most misunderstood horror films because Michael Myers is not in it.
Right. He's not in it, right?
That's right, and it's the entire definitive history of how this movie came about, with a lot of great behind-the-scenes photos that have never been seen, storyboards, and the original script written by the British author Nigel Neal that never got published. It never got made because Tommy had to rewrite it. So it's going to be a really cool book. And then I'm also working on Felissa Rose's autobiography. She was Angela Baker in Sleepaway Camp. So I'm working with her on that right now. So I'm busy.
Well, we will definitely check out everything you have going on. Keep us in mind for this premiere. Let us know when it's happening. When,
I got
where.
coming up, but I'll do that privately. I'll contact you privately.
No problem, man.
Let us know, and we'll definitely try to make that happen to come out. And as always, guys, check us out on Anchor, Spotify, Google, wherever you can watch podcasts at. Look at all 45 previous podcast streamers while you're driving, while you're in your office, hiding.
It's worth to listen, y'all.
Whatever. And once again, want to thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate you guys, and
appreciate y'all, man.
Thank you guys. Much success.
What Paul said. One last thing. Keep doing what you're doing, because you have the potential to really blow up into a big podcast, because the thing is, you talk real, and the interaction between the 3 of you, that's fantastic, because this whole industry is fake. And it's nice to just see real people talk without being offended by everything, without any of that stuff, just to talk real about something.
Absolutely.
You have tremendous chemistry together. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Humbly.
Humbly. As always, share with your friend. Tell somebody about us. Go ahead.
I just want to say before we go out, Paul, I went on his page and he does impersonations. So can you give us an impersonation and take us out, sir, tonight? Whichever impersonation voice you want to do.
I tell you what. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. So let's leave them on the hook. The next time you have me on, I'll do 3 impersonations.
Gotcha.
Okay.
We're gonna hold you to that.
I like it. We're gonna hold
I might even do
sir.
more. I might even just run a gamut. I'll let you pick, and then I'll give you a list, and y'all let you pick.
Love
Okay. Okay.
Love
Leave
it.
them on the
Appreciate
hook,
you guys. Thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Appreciate y'all.
Everybody have a
Appreciate
good night. God bless, and see you guys next Sunday.
I'll see y'all.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye bye.
Y'all, wet ass box. Go watch it.
Go to